Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for X support. Any kind of updates and the such, I tend to go on Twitter X. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I did publish the last episode of Planet Olana from the gaming series. And probably next week, I will introduce the new gaming series, which is going to be Jusant. Again, I still managed to wrap up the recording and already edited some episodes there, so I have some backlog of those. Um, Other than that, just complete the gameplay series here. And at this moment in time, it's what I got on channel updates. Let's go to the news. Similarly, Intel did a presentation regarding their 18A process manufacturing node. So supposedly Intel Foundry is back on track, let's say. And at this moment, with this process node, they are entering in the risk production phase, which is basically the phase before the mass production. From what I understand, it is when they do limited runs of the wafers to see how the yields are going, if everything seems okay regarding their own standards, and after that, they everything is okay. They will be mass producing in this manufacturing process. Um, Again, the supposedly the mass production will take place by the end of the year if everything goes well. Again, it's good to see that. Let's see if Intel can manage to, I don't know, turn around the situation they were until Pat Kelsinger, I think it was called, the previous CEO, just pull out the parachute there. Um, and hopefully they will start ramping up again. I will assume, hopefully, if everything goes well in this new 18A process manufacturing nodes and everything, we'll start seeing some highly anticipated competition against AMD, at least on the CPU side of things. There was no specific mentioning on any kind of discrete GPUs or anything like that. And I think even on this 18A process node, they are very focused, or at least seem very laser focused indeed, regarding the in terms like APUs for designing chips, at least for mobile devices here. It's assumed that probably we'll see maybe 1 year from now, give or take, new laptops with this new, I think it's no, Panther Lake or whatever it's called. Again, I'm always all over the place with the naming schemes of these companies. But it seems they are focused on that first. They did have a slide here and there where there was supposedly ARC stuff there on the screen, but again, supposedly there was no mentioning there. Again, I will have to assume that they will uh, do something regarding that because they only launch half of the Battle Mage lineup or supposed lineup. I don't know how this will be with the discrete GPU, because I think if they can manage turnaround, I think the priority on the discrete GPU is not that much high. There, I think they just want to put their house in order regarding more the CPU side of things, and hopefully that can be leveraged afterwards on the GPU side of things. Again, it's important on their APU side of things, the having integrated graphics chip there, and probably they can scale up there in discrete GPU. Again, it seemed that was the plan before Pat Kelsinger went away. But yeah, hopefully everything will be on the good track. They can manage to launch this, have good and competitive products against at least AMD on the CPU side of things, or and also on the APU side of things. And then again, by the end of the day, we customers will benefit from this competition, because even though I like very much, at least a couple generations since the oh my god, since the launch of the Ryzen stuff there on the 2000 series, if not mistaken, AMD caught up with Intel. It's now overperforming and basically in almost every front, in terms of the CPU side of things, and of course GPU. It's not even worth comparing, even though again Intel Arc GPUs. Some of them might be relatively competitive depending on the price and depending on what you aiming for. But yeah, hopefully everything's get set up, and maybe we'll start to see some competition ramping up next year. In terms of AMD, they officially acquired ZT Systems. Again, this is mainly for from what I understand, ZT Systems is kind of a company that set up like server stuff and works around very much on deploying solutions for companies to have their server stuff there. So from hardware to integration with the software itself, and it seems that it's kind of enough a big enough company for AMD to take notice and acquire this company. Again, I think we will be more agile now, AMD, in terms of deploying the AI solutions on the server side of things with this company. And they expect, again, this is corpo or at least very specific language, the transition to be creative and a non-GAAP basis by the end of 2025. I will assume everything will be wrapped up by 2025. So again, integrated companies between each other, how they're going to agilize the processes so they can start working together. And again, I will assume ZT Systems already deployed from other companies besides AMD in terms of other companies. I don't know. Again, I will assume everything will tie up by the end of the year. Again, let's see how this goes. Again, what interested me here is the fact that AMD could deliver a little bit more competitiveness in terms of solutions and everything, and especially on the deploying side of things, because supposedly NVIDIA it seems a little bit better on that side. And the fact also AMD, because they want to integrate also the ROC M, so a lot of stuff that they have from open source, I think can be very interesting what they do there. And the by the end of the day is the fact if they can manage to do more money, hopefully they will start getting more resources to be invested in R&D. And ultimately, hopefully, it will also benefit us on the DIY market in terms from better CPUs and APUs, and also, of course, GPUs. Hopefully, this will be also something that we will see upcoming in the next couple of years regarding UDNA and how this is going to be also deployed on the client or big client side of things, and also how that will trickle down on us. But yeah, interesting stuff there. In terms of the hardware stuff, we seem to have another 9950X3D in this time blown up or die after a smaller explosion. Again, you can see here a bulge here. And again, this comes on ASRock X8070 Pro RS motherboard. Again, seems to be when these kind of situations happen, they usually, not all of them, but usually, or the majority of them happen on ASRock motherboards. Again, I don't know in terms of if there anything wrong or in the default profiles in terms of power delivery, because usually this happens when there is overpower in the side of things, and usually who delivers power is usually the motherboard, so it's not the CPU. It seems that way. At least that's the perception that I get from these kind of cases. But yeah, there is still no official kind of word with this from the 9800X3D, the 100 plus cases that you already got that, or they die, or they just stop working. Again, I think we need at least an official wording that at least they are looking into it, because I don't think there is even a statement regarding that. ASRock, I think a couple of weeks just launched a new BIOS update, and they said supposedly there was no problem. But yeah, it's very strange. But again, I think one of the situations that usually lands for us to get this kind of reports is the fact that, again, people have access to internet. Usually when people buy these high-end GPUs, they usually tend to be more savvy on going to on the internet and reporting this kind of stuff. And I think the fact that usually a lot of these new AMD, especially the X3D CPUs, I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that they inverted the X3D stacking, how it works. I don't know if it is something that might trigger any kind of malfunction or just blow up the CPUs there, or if it's really something that the motherboards are manufacturers are not properly fine tuning their profiles. Because this guy in specific, they didn't do any PBOs or anything or overclocking. And he played like, even though the games that seemed that he played were a little bit more CPU heavy side of things, usually they are not like heavy titles that I don't know, that can justify something like that. But yeah, it's interesting, and I would like to see some, if not from the AMD or even the board manufacturers, kind of investigation, or at least a statement of what they think or what could create this kind of conditions. But at least, if I don't know, Gamers Nexus can take hold of a couple of these components and do some kind of investigation if possible, for us to have at least an idea what it might be, so people, if there is a way of preventing these kind of situations at all, at least some people will be aware of how to prevent this kind of, because again, I think this is a $700 CPU, if not mistaken. Again, you have a situation like this happen to you, it's not pleasant at all. But yeah, hopefully we will get updates regarding this situation, not only from the 9950 X3D, but also from the 9800 X3D. Again, I'm not sure. We got also the fact that they sell like hotcakes at this moment in time, and I'm not completely sure if it is something with the fact that there always going to be a percentage of products when they're launched, they're going to fail inevitably. I'm not sure by the fact that there is a huge amount of these CPUs out there, if it is something also that is compounding on this kind of incidents of CPUs dying here. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if something comes up in the upcoming weeks or months. In terms of games, we got a little bit more information regarding Atomfall. Supposedly, it surpasses 1.5 million players. Again, players in its opening weekend. Again, they do a huge amount of reference on this 1.5 million players because the game was also launched on Game Pass subscription service. Again, the CEO co-founder of Rebellion, again, Jason Kingsley, expressed his joy, of course. It's always good to see at least a lot of people interacting with your game. Again, I don't know, and I don't think anybody outside of Xbox on the higher up side of things knows how this works in terms of the Game Pass subscription, how much they will receive if players play a certain amount of time of this game, if they receive anything at all, or if it is something that is, I don't know how the deal will work on this thing. I think I saw some numbers in terms of sales. I think the expectation or the prediction is around 300K copies sold of this game, which is always good. And it's always good also by the fact that Rebellion is self-publishing the game itself. So they are developing and self-publishing, and as an independent studio there, I think it's always good to see at least good games getting good sale numbers and having a good positive feedback. At least that's the perception that I got from Steam. People are enjoying this game. Again, it still has some bugs here and there that can be patched out, but again, I think it's worthwhile the time that you play this game and the cost associated with that. But it's good to see that the game is going well. It's not you doing Black Myth Wukong numbers, but usually these studios don't need that huge amount of numbers for those games to succeed. But I just hope that this game being good, they can succeed and have at least have budget to do the next game, because the game seems pretty good. It's kind of it's people are calling it the Fallout, the British Fallout, but I think from my understanding is more Stalker, the British Stalker, the way the game itself plays itself more, even though it's got a lot of vibes of Fallout in a sense of the setting of the game itself. And yesterday I did so on Twitter. From Software announced the new class for Elden Ring Nightreign. It's called Ironeye, which is a new class. Very interesting, very bad, kind of badass. The way the character is, and it's a ranged kind of archer kind of a style there. Interesting that you can do ranged combats uh, while in the air, so you can jump and shoot in the middle air while you're doing the vaults and running along walls. So while doing kind of parkour, you can fire up arrows, and then you've got what it seems an ultimate, which is kind of this I don't know, summoning summons, or I don't know if it is another weapon that he has, like a huge bow here, which does like a huge damage, area damage there in a straight line. Again, very interesting. Yeah, interesting to see that this class is being announced. Again, with this one revealed, there is only three left more, at least from the eight classes that are going to be launched with the game itself. Again, the director of this game, which is not Miyazaki, it's Junya Ishizaki. Again, I think it's work. He worked on From Software since Dark Souls one at least, so he has a good sense of what the philosophy in From Software is regarding games. And again, it's not a live service game in the sense that it's going to be games as a service. You pay what we can call full price, and you have access, and you can unlock everything in the game by just playing. There is, I will assume there will be some microtransactions, but from what I understand, there is nothing that you cannot unlock by playing the game. You can unlock everything in the game by just playing it. There is no need to spend extra money on that. Again, I'm not sure regarding, for example, DLC or some kind of those things there, if it's going to happen. Again, we didn't saw any kind of precise plans on this. But yeah, very interesting how this class plays. I'm interesting to see in a couple of months when this game comes out how it fares regarding in terms of what kind of this game it is, because it's not a Souls-like kind of a game. But I'm interested to see how it fares and how it plays, if it is that good or not. Then lastly, we got more stuff regarding Assassin's Creed IP. Again, it seems, again, this is kind of a rumor, and it's if this rumor is right, is goes again with the philosophy of quadruple down from Ubisoft on games as a service, and trying to monetize and squeeze out money out of every IP that they can. Which this comes from Tom Anderson, an insider, says that Assassin's Creed Invictus could launch this year. And yeah, this was mentioned like a couple of years, this game, in a earnings call, if not mistaken. And it's at the time was said that there is For Honor Veterans, which is part of Ubisoft, this IP, is currently working on bringing back multiplayer to Assassin's Creed with a standalone experience through Infinity under the project codename Invictus. Again, the only kind of information that we have is supposedly this game is going to be a multiplayer game with the arcade feel inspired by Fall Guys and Smash Bros. Again, I don't know how they're going to do this with Assassin's Creed, but I guess they will try to find a way of butchering this. I don't know. And again, on this article, again, I don't like, I will have to call out this Alessio Palumbo. Again, he mentions here on the article, again, I don't have any issues with being biases of liking or disliking certain things, but when you present this kind of information, I think you should be accurate. Or at least you can do some conjunctures or speculations, but I think you need to present the information properly. And in this case, he mentions here on the article that 2025 kicked off on the right note for Ubisoft with a strong launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is again, people can misconstrue the numbers, but the fact that you present false numbers regarding what he's trying to do here, which sold, again, he reference here that it mentions that there was more than 3 million copies sold in the first week, which is a lie. What Ubisoft did mention only in terms of numbers regarding the Assassin's Creed Shadow is the number of players, again, and the number of players that interacted with the game. And we all know that given that this game also launched on subscription services, namely Ubisoft Plus, and I think also Game Pass, that doesn't mean that it goes on million of units sold. People play it for free. It's included on a subscription service, and even if it is count as a sale, it's not count for sure as a full sale. In this case, at least $70. And we have the fact that Ubisoft Plus is a service that is $18 monthly, so people can buy or technically, let's say, buy the game for $18 in the sense that they just buy a month, play the game in a month, and then cancel the subscription service in that case, and they basically play the game for $18 instead of $70. Again, this is false information. Everybody, these people from this kind, or usually from IGNs, the Kotakus, the Polygons, they usually cry and bemoan with misinformation and disinformation, and when they don't even check their own information when they presented it for the public. Again, it's just a note here that again, in terms of sales, Ubisoft didn't present any kind of number, official number from their part. They just like NVIDIA, they just like to say that they sold and a lot of number of hours were played in the game, again trying to make it seem that they are selling well, which is not the case. Again, the in terms of sales, even though there is no official numbers, it's the estimate since the launch of the game. Probably the game sold around 1 million copies. um, so again, more than 3 million units in the first week. Again, you should rephrase this. You should said that again, my advice here is, um, I think in terms of rephrasing this kind of point that he's trying to make is uh, presented as 3 million players interacted with the game, which can translate roughly to almost 3 million units sold. I think it's the best way that you can describe it and have it both ways, let's say. But yeah, this is not good information. It's completely a lie. But yeah, hopefully people will start to put some more pressure here regarding this. I tried to comment on this article, but I need to create an account. I'm not going to create an account. It's also a way of them having some toxic positivity inside these sites, is make people have to have an account here to comment this. But yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good for Ubisoft. We already know they did a second Ubisoft, basically to put Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six Siege, and what's the other? Far Cry IPs, and just squeezed out almost 1.2 billion euros from Tencent for a minority stake of 25% for that. Again, we will have to wait and see how the impending disaster in terms of layoffs is going to be regarding Ubisoft, and how many studios they will have to shut down. Don't forget, 20,000 employees spread out, I think, throughout almost 50 studios overall from Ubisoft. But yeah, we'll have to wait to see how this disaster is going to unfold throughout this year. But yeah, let's end up with some good stuff. Gaming deals, we got Midnight Suns 85% off. Again, recommendation from my part. I did a gameplay series of this game. I did manage to claim for free on Epic Game Store a few months ago. I did a run on Dark Hunter, if not, I think it was Dark Hunter. And I do recommend this game. that's for sure. From the same guys that brought us XCOM 2. Then we got Atomic Heart, 67% off in all of the editions here. I do I do want to play this game, and I tried out the demo. And you can also do this to see if it is something that interests you. But I also did on my demo gameplays on the playlist on the main page of the channel. I did again I did play the demo of this game. Then you got No Man's Sky, 60% off. Again, there is the newest update for this game in terms of content, which is Relics. Then you got the Bioshock, the collection. So all three Bioshock games, the remastered versions of the first two, plus Bioshock Infinite, plus all the DLC associated with the free games there. And then lastly, we got Pacific Drive. Again, this game seems to be. This game is on my wish list, and it's one of those that I'm really, really, really interested in trying out to see how good it is, because I like this kind of games here. And it's at this moment 40% off on the base game. There is the deluxe edition, which has extra goodies there. So that's that. But yeah, I'll wrap up here for today with a plug of my Patreon for access support. This access support is more in line for me at this moment in time, trying to get around and get a better storage solution so I can have backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.